Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This first month of the school year, we've been focusing on the idea of identity. And today, we have two prominent alumni to help us talk about this topic, Coach Kim West and Sefo Liufau. This is being presented by part of your broadcast team, Jake Lee, Jake Hannigan,
and Inga Larson. Hello, you guys. I'm so glad to be here. How are you guys doing?
Hi, we're awesome. We're happy to be here.
Good. I think Jacob Mead was going to start us off with our first couple of questions.
Okay, so welcome. The first question is, what advice would you have for students at Bellarmine who are trying to find their purpose and identity today on campus or off campus?
Wow, that's a great question. You're just starting us off here. My advice to kids on campus now, finding their identity. You know, nobody can tell you your identity, right? And it is a lifelong journey. I will tell you that. It was quite the journey for both of us sitting here as student athletes and then playing in college for our respective sports, moving on to the professional realm. And that was our identity for a very long time, right? Being an athlete and finding yourself and your calling, right? And it is important, I think, to know that wherever you are, at what stage of your life, your identity may change, but stay true to who you really are inside. Expand your circle of knowledge of people, of places. The world is a big, beautiful place, and it's ready for you to start adventuring. So,
yeah, I definitely think that there's a certain identity that people have of me, but there was a lot of things I did at Bellarmine that didn't involve sports at all, and I think it's important for people to go out there and experience everything from the various clubs, various retreats that I was a part of. It's all important in finding those core values which help build the identity. I may not identify with football as much anymore or sports, but there are some core values that I really identify with that have helped shape who I am today.
Thank you. Now, talking about your past experience at Bellarmine and going into athletics in the collegiate and professional careers, who were some of the people in your life that supported you on your journey towards finding that purpose?
yeah, I was very fortunate to have a very supportive family. My mom, read an article in the paper when I was 7 that, an opportunity for a scholarship for soccer, and, that was when the FC Royals started, and so I was on a part of a team since I was 7, and so my parents were super supportive, and sacrificed a lot. I think I had a great support in my sister, not only being a teammate, but also an older sister that pushed me probably to be the better athlete. And I think I had great friends. I think they understood that I couldn't go to every social function. I couldn't do a lot of the stuff on the weekends that, you kids do. And because I had prior engagements with my sporting team. But so I had a balance of great support, and I believe that that's a big deal. So.
Yeah, definitely family. From my dad and to my mom, my brother and sister, my grandpa as well, who's also known as Bussy around here. I don't know if anyone knows him anymore from a kid perspective, but family especially. There's also friends, but fun fact, I guess, my mom, when I got to college, she never missed one game, home or away, and that support and that type of commitment to be there for me was I'll always remember that, because the highs, the lows that you go through, and anything in life, for someone to always be there for you is super important, and I very much appreciated it.
Okay. And finally, from me, what would you like to see the Bellarmine community achieve as far as our identity in the broader Tacoma area, and how can we get there?
Great question. Gosh, if we knew that. I would say, just keep coming together and having hard conversations, especially about just the issues that are happening in today's world, and being more multiculturally competent and self-aware, but also then understanding that your reality isn't everyone's reality.
Yeah, there has to be a sense of inclusivity, if I think I'm saying that correctly. But I think a lot of times now, a lot of people are scared to put themselves out there, or to put themselves in a position where there's those hard conversations that need to be had. And I think Bellarmine is a great place for those conversations to be had, and for everyone to be welcomed. And if people don't feel that way, I think then we just need to keep doing our best to make people feel welcomed, to make this community feel like it's welcome to all. Because I've had a great experience here at Bellarmine when I went here. I've had a great experience when I have coached here about a year ago, and now that I'm back here coaching. And I just want everyone to feel that, whether they're on the campus or meeting them out in the public.
Thank you.
All right. My set of questions kind of focus more on your time at Bellarmine. So my first question is, what was your identity at Bellarmine, and how did other students and adults see you?
Yeah, I think I was first a younger sister. My sister teaches here, Julie Hiles, and she had already been here and laid the groundwork for me. So I was a 3-sport athlete. I loved school. I loved the rigor of the academic side of it. I think the teachers here are dynamic. They're amazing. They were super supportive. They understood that I was a student athlete, and I think my identity at Bellarmine was a hard worker and somebody who was kind and accepting.
Yeah, I think I definitely identify it as being a hard worker, whether that's in school or sports. And I think a lot of people identify me as a football player, basketball player, but looking back on it, I think I was just a kid who loved to experience everything. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, I was a part of a couple of different retreats, a couple of different clubs. Sports was kind of just something that I did. On the weekends, I was playing video games just like any other kid, trying to figure it all out. And so I kind of fall back on I look back on just kind of values and principles that I had, and that was hard work and being a good person to other people, being a good brother, a good son, and a good friend.
Thank you guys so much. My next question, what are some things that you cared about and were involved in that helped you become the person you were at Bellarmine?
That's an interesting question. So because I played football so much, I was also, how do I phrase this? I did play football, yes, and I was very good at it, but I knew everybody's name on the team. I thought that was very important, not necessarily from obviously it helps with the team and the camaraderie, but just being able to get to know everyone on a personal level. I would say hi to guys in the halls, or hang out with them on the weekends. It kind of goes deeper than just playing the game, and I thought that was something that was really important to me and my time here.
Yeah, I'd second that, and also add that being part of 3 different teams over the 4 years, we tried to support the other teams as well. And I remember going to most every other guys basketball game when we didn't overlap times, and hitting up the football games and the soccer, and it just was a great athletic community. But yes, it's not all about athletics, right? So understanding that not everyone is on a playing field, and making sure we're cultivating other parts of what Bellarmine can offer with clubs, and going to dances, and just kind of being vulnerable in those different social settings. So.
Great. And my final question, were there obstacles or difficulties that brought a new perspective to your life? And if so, can you please explain?
Yeah, I think it necessarily wasn't here at Bellarmine. I think the time in my life where I learned the most about myself was when I broke my foot in college and I was told I might not play sports again. And I think what really happened out of there was I became very determined to play. I think I recovered 2 or 3 months ahead of schedule and ended up playing with my team and finishing out my senior year. And I learned a lot about myself, and the limits that were put on me from other people were just kind of a benchmark, for lack of better words, on what they thought I could accomplish. And in reality, you can accomplish a lot more than you or what everyone else can think.
Well said, Sefo. Mine is also an injury. I tore my ACL going into districts my senior year, and as you know, ACL surgeries for a basketball player, it's almost a year of recovery, and I was really lucky enough to have just signed my letter of intent to play at Santa Clara, and so although having my senior season cut short, I was very thankful that I was still part of the team, and then I could still we have great trainers, I had the best doctors, but it was a hard transition to be on the bench and to witness sports and school on the other side of it. And I came back stronger. It was a hard road, but coming into my freshman season, as I didn't redshirt, but it was a big adjustment and not fully in shape, and those are different things. But injuries can really impact you, not just physically. And I think a lot of people don't really see the impact of the mental issues and the psychological issues, and so reach out to your teammates, reach out to your friends that could be going through a lot.
Thank you.
My first question is, what were some of the most significant learning moments that you've had in your sports careers?
I think the biggest learning kind of experience was my first 3 years in college. For those of you that don't know, we weren't the best, to put it lightly. I think we were 4-8 probably the first 3 years, and I learned a lot more in terms of leadership in those first 3 years and how to communicate with people, because when you come on a college team, you meet people from all walks of life, from East Coast, West Coast, from Hawaii. I've had a couple teammates from overseas. You learn how to communicate with those guys and come together for a common goal. And our senior year, I think we finished 12-4, and it was just a culmination of coming together and learning how to work together as a team towards a common goal, and not letting each other slip up from what our standard was. And that's what I would say is those first 3 years where everything was very tough, very difficult, not the most glamorous, but that's probably where I learned the most lessons.
Yeah, I had a different situation. I've had 4 coaches in 5 years in a college setting, and you're recruited by one coach. You think you're going to end up with that coaching staff that whole route, and that was extremely challenging. Having a coach that you love and follow their philosophy, and that's why you went to this school, and then they leave, so then you have the whole other coaching staff, a whole other program, different players that you need to be willing to adapt to and learn. And I think having 4 coaches really taught me that, being adaptable, being flexible, you are always learning, you're always growing. Like we still are. Like I'm still learning about the game of basketball, and it's been part of my life for gosh, how many years. As a coach, I am learning still about the game, and so that was a big, a pivotal moment, recognizing after those 5 years in college, like that was a pretty rare situation where there's 4 coaches, and it really helped me adapt better into professional play overseas, where over half of my coaches didn't even speak English. So that's a big adjustment, and you know, they're telling you plays in a different language, but you know the game so well, it's a universal language. But
Thank you guys for that. My next question is, how do you see yourself today?
It's an interesting one because I'm still figuring it out, and I don't really identify as a football player, as a athlete. Football is not even my favorite sport, so that's kind of a, I guess, shocker to some people. I don't watch games on Sundays. I still keep up with the team that I used to play for in Colorado, but I think ultimately, in the fact that I don't really know what I identify with right now because I don't play anymore, and that was my identity since I played tackle football in 3rd grade, I kind of fall back on some core values of kind of what I spoke about earlier in terms of hard work, being a good person, being a good boyfriend, brother, son, always being there for my friends. I think those core values are something that I kind of fall back on, and also just kind of trying to be a good example for the next generation. That's kind of the reason why I come back to coach. Football not being my favorite sport shouldn't deter me from passing on the knowledge and in terms of football and leadership that I've learned over the years. And so if anything, that's kind of what I fall back on, or what my identity is at the moment.
I would say I'm definitely more self-aware and more self-reflective, but you know, you can say it a million times that you will always keep growing, and you will always find a different part of your identity that you know, surprises you. And I would just stay curious and stay wondering about what's going on within you. And I am a proud coach. I love coaching girls basketball. I love having my experience as an Olympian, but that's not my whole identity, and there's a huge part that I still have, you know, I'm tapping into. And I'm a grad student. I'm studying to be a counselor. I'm very passionate about that and mental health, and the road continues.
My final question is, what are your goals for the future?
That's a good question. I think to just always continue to grow, and that may be a broad kind of answer, but I think that I've found that the most days that I'm kind of upset with myself are days that I'm not pushing myself in, whether it be physical exercise or trying to learn a new skill per se. I think that I always want to try and push myself to grow, because that's kind of when I find the most satisfaction. And whether that's growing a real estate portfolio or hitting a new PR in some type of workout, I always want to try and strive for that next level, because I find the most satisfaction and growth out of it.
Great answer. I want to help people on the same way that I want to help myself, and I want to just always be able to be adaptable and flexible, and open to change, and open to people that may be different than me, and cultures. I'm excited for the future, and I know that these are unsettling times, and it's been really hard for a lot of us, but understanding that it's going to get better, and that we can all, you know, come together in this and support each other is the biggest thing, right? So we just want to thank you guys for being interested in us, and we've enjoyed all your questions, and thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for your time and responses.
That is all of our questions, so thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. Okay. Any words?
We want to thank them for answering questions for us. Again, this is brought to you by part of the Bellarmine broadcast team. And yeah, that is it. We just want to say a special thanks to Coach Kim West and Sefo Liufau again. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.